Great. All right, this is my final project for the class. The topic that I decided to choose was Alzheimer's. It was actually what inevitably took out my grandmother, and I've always been fascinated by it in the sense that I've always been like scared of it. I think it's one of the most terrifying diseases you can have. It feels horrible. I don't know, to watch someone go. This is getting a little dark. But before this class, I was already looking into it a little bit. So in preparation for this final, I learned quite a bit, and I'm hoping to share a bit about it. All right. So the earliest signs of Alzheimer's. It's a weird disease because we don't know what causes it. We know that what affects it. We'll get into that eventually. Age, of course, is the number one signifier of it. But as far as the brain goes, all we know is that there are these plaques and tangles that come from tau proteins, which go into, I'm not sure if you can read this or not, but they go into the proteins and then the nerves inside of the brain themselves and mess things up. What exactly, we don't fully know, but it's not good. As for the earliest stages of Alzheimer's, something a little spooky is that it shows up like 20 years before any of the symptoms show. So like much before like any of the memory loss or anything like that, it's affecting you, it's going into your brain, and it's making like physical changes, shrinking your brain literally, which I find quite terrifying. As you can see, there's two parts of the brain, because it mainly affects the front, at least for the beginning, and those parts are commonly associated with learning, memory, thinking, planning, things like that. You know, the first things that really go with Alzheimer's. So a little bit. For early symptoms, the main ones are like forgetting words, forgetting new names, misplacing objects is a big one, trouble planning. So it's none of the like big symptoms. That's another scary thing, is this is just very commonplace things that'll happen on occasion, but it's repeated, like you can see it happening multiple times over and over again, is the most, like the quickest you can find out about Alzheimer's. From there, you get some of the more telltale ones: forgetting memories, forgetting your phone number, your address, wandering, becoming lost, current location, activity, what you were doing. It's just more memory for the most part. Once you get into the late stage, this is after, well, it really depends, but like 4 to 5, 7 years in. Again, it depends. You get difficulty speaking, communication, your speech starts to break down, you're forgetting loved ones, losing a sense of self, and like extreme vulnerability to infection. This is actually what causes the majority of Alzheimer's deaths. It's specifically pneumonia. The number is like 12 to up to 70%. We're not exactly sure, but about that many people who get diagnosed with Alzheimer's are going to die from pneumonia because their whole immune system just shuts down towards the end. They cannot protect against infections, anything like that. One thing to note is Alzheimer's, there's no cure. Once you get it, it's just a clock wait, like ticking down to your death. It's very scary in a sense. We haven't found any ways to like reverse the process in humans. There's been some studies in mice, but mice brains aren't the same as human brains. So the number one thing that we can do at the moment is just slow the rate of growth. The rate of growth, by the way, I'm referring to like beta amyloids. These are the things, if we go back up, these are what cause a lot of the plaque to build up and things like that. It's just a protein. The best on the market drug for it right now is I don't even know how to say it. Donanemab. That was bad. All right, take 2. Donanemab. That was better. Hopefully, this area is really good. But its main thing is that it goes after those beta amyloids and it destroys them, removes them from the brain. Not all of them, of course, because as Alzheimer's goes, it gets more and more increased, more nerves die, etc., etc. But studies have shown that this can slow it by around 40%. This is only, again, like treatable in the very early stages of the disease. But if you take it consistently from the start, you can get 4 to 7-ish months of like prime, like thinking, very early like treatment, of course. So you're still functional, you can still drive, everything else. You get 3 to 7 months more of that, which is really nice, an incredible luxury, and shouldn't be like overstated how important more time is for Alzheimer's patients. Social factors is actually really interesting. For detail, many studies have shown that social isolation, the loss of your spouse, not having someone to talk to, increases it. The one study that I linked for this is having like a small social net, social isolation, that can increase the chance of developing Alzheimer's by 60%, which is insane. Another one is like general lack of brain use. It's much more predominant in people who are very lonely, very isolated. It's very sad. They're like having an active, healthy brain, conversations with people does help reduce the chance of developing it. Because once again, if you get it, as for now, that's it. We can't do anything, right? It's very sad. Going through like actual countries, something interesting. This was I have the link for it. I forget exactly where I pulled this, but it'll be in the description. But you can see the darker the color of the country, the more per like 1,000. We can actually zoom in on this. Yeah. Maybe not. I'm sorry. But prevalent cases per 2021 per 100,000 people. Darkest blue is 2,500 per 100,000 people, and then like the brightest yellow is closer to 0. And you can see you would notice that there are some darker places, but I dug a little bit deeper, and on the same website, because this is just for like a variety of statistics, they would make graphs. I found a graph for age of like the average median age of the country, and you can see that if I swap between them, it's not 1-to-1, but it's very closely related. So there isn't really like a location which causes more or less Alzheimer's. It's more so just an aging population is going to be more susceptible, and it was a bit of a confounding factor, something we learned this week. Go figure. But I just wanted to point that out because there are like statistics that say, oh, this place and this place are more likely to have Alzheimer's, but like for the vast majority, it's just those populations live longer. Wrapping this up, future treatments, I don't want to say it's bleak because there are drugs. The main thing that they're looking at right now is like bolstering the immune system so that it can like fend off against beta amyloids, keeping neurons in the brain firing stronger, keeping the pathways fresh. The other approach that they're going for is reducing tangling. They have had a lot of success, like I mentioned before, in mice, but they have yet to like provide any way where that can transfer over to humans, if that makes sense. So it's a little bleak, it's a little sad, but I feel confident, and many of the experts also feel confident, like some of the papers I was reading, that we will be able to cure it, and it will be something that we will be able to solve. And a future without Alzheimer's is going to be great, and I hope I live long enough to see that happen myself. Thank you for teaching this course. Thank you for listening to this. It's coming up in 10 minutes. Apologies about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut this down at all or not, but